You know, Vern, entertainment is very important to us as human beings. That's why I've invented this nuclear TV.
Hey, Vern, we're not Jim Varney or Ernest, but we're on a mission to tell you who Jim Varney and Ernest really were.
I was already thinking about an Ernest documentary. It's the 40th anniversary of the character. It's 20 years since Jim's passing. It seems like a good time to explore what went on just off camera.
I don't think the world knows how much he did and how many people he reached.
You could describe Jim in a book, you can tell stories about him, but to have a visual of him is a totally separate thing.
So our goal is to pour through all of that stuff that's never been seen before and remind the world of the importance of being earnest.
They've never done anything like this before, and they'll probably lose a lot of money and never do anything like this again.
Hi, I'm David Pagano, director of the Importance of Being Earnest documentary. What you just saw was a teaser that we shot in February of 2020, as we were trying to get the documentary going last year. Of course, then the pandemic happened, and almost all of our plans had to be put on hold. But we made good use of the time spent indoors, collecting footage, doing research, and reaching out to potential contributors to the film. We got thousands of pictures scanned from both the Cherry and Varney family archives, and we also started digitizing some of the Ernest master tapes. Along with behind-the-scenes stuff, we also want to interview people and talk to the folks who knew and worked with Jim. We haven't been able to start shooting those yet, but I think this clip from Dan Butler kind of gets the tone across in terms of what we want this documentary to feel like and the kind of stories we want to capture.
Gosh, Daddy and Them with Billy Bob Thornton is just amazing to me, and so important to understanding Jim Varney. You know, I mean, that was his first serious on-screen acting role, and for that to finally come right before he passed away, dude, that was something. And in that moment, you know, I mean, I think Jim got to realize his dream. And it wasn't being Ernest. We didn't know. We loved Ernest, man. That was not his dream. That was ours.
So many people still love Ernest, and that's the other part of this story, the fans. These are the folks who have been keeping Jim and Ernest's memory alive, celebrating him on social media, people who looked up to him as a kind of surrogate father figure, or even others who have been doing the same kind of research that we have, finding old tapes and clips on eBay, digitizing them, and preserving them so that they're not lost forever. If any of those sound like you, then we need your help. Support this fundraising campaign, share it with your family and friends, and we will do our best to make the definitive Jim Varney documentary worthy of both his and Ernest's legacy.
You know, Vern, we've got the tools, and we've got the talent, and we've got the road paved to the top, and we've got people all over the empire pitching for us to get there. But, Vern, we've got to pitch in and do our part. Because if you don't pitch in your part, and I don't pitch in my part, we won't have a part to pitch in.